Did you know? The original Monster Hunter was made to answer Capcom's request for a multi-action online game that anyone can join and play. 3 games were developed with this network functionality in mind: Monster Hunter, Automata Lesta, and Resident Evil Outbreak. And Capcom hoped one of them would become a million-unit seller. The Monster Hunter team believed they could meet this challenge, but they were also apprehensive about how well the game would perform. Not only did the series meet expectations and become a million-unit seller, Monster Hunter games have collectively sold over 31 million copies to date. In an interview with Game Informer, series developer Ryozo Sugimoto stated that he believes co-op functionality played a major role in the series' success. Capcom actually balanced out quest rewards to encourage cooperation. If the rewards are distributed evenly, veteran players are more likely to encourage newcomers to contribute during a hunt. This makes sure they do their fair share of the work and also become better hunters. Hunts are also limited to 4 players so that the actions of every player count. An army of hunters would devalue each action and make things trivial. The current set of monsters also aren't balanced to be hunted with more than 4 players, so subsequent games retain this limitation. In addition to this, the series is kept difficult so that players need to experiment and become better hunters. Sugimoto told Game Informer, "If there's a quest you can't clear right away in Monster Hunter, you can change up your tactics and strategize. Change your weapon or armor set, bring different items with you, try a new battle tactic, or come to an understanding of the monster's movements so you can effectively deal with it. In the end, your technique as a hunter is the ultimate deciding factor." Another limitation that's become a staple of the franchise are the segmented maps. Having self-contained sections in each area helps players strategize and be aware of their position in the environment. It also creates a focal point where the monster is and allows players to run away or regroup if a plan doesn't work out. Although the hunting areas being segmented was a result of hardware limitations, it's unlikely that the scenes will be removed to form a large contiguous world in the future. When asked about making open-world environments, Monster Hunter director Konami Fujioka told US Gamer, "Part of the reason this segmented map is important is that it's very much part of the gameplay. If we're going to change Monster Hunter so that it basically features one giant contiguous area, then we have to really reformulate and rethink everything so it works correctly." While developing Monster Hunter Tri, the team decided to include underwater hunts. The idea was to give the players a chance to fight monsters in 360 degrees, rather than on a flat plane. Although the underwater hunts brought something new to the table, many players felt that underwater hunting was underdeveloped, and Capcom themselves knew they could do better. The team revisited the idea of hunting from all angles, and decided to incorporate vertical depth into the existing ground hunts in Monster Hunter 4. This heavily influenced which monsters were brought back, as well as how the new monsters were designed. The Quetzalcoatl, for example, was designed as an entry-level monster that teaches players the importance of all angles combat. It can glide from above and climb around on walls and ceilings, forcing players to fight in a 3D environment and strategize. The new verticality also allowed for bigger monsters, as players can now attack even higher up. Monster Hunter 4 was developed for the 3DS specifically, as the development team were attracted to the system's unique features such as the dual screens and the 3D. The game could have potentially sold better on Xbox or PlayStation systems, but Capcom's interest in the Nintendo handheld outweighed their desire to heavily target Western audiences. The developers also didn't want to overstretch their resources by developing a next-gen game. Speaking of which, Monster Hunter 3 was originally planned as a PlayStation 3 game. The switch to Wii was due to Capcom being attracted to the console's unique features, similar to how they were attracted to the 3DS. Localization changes for Monster Hunter 4 included both presentation and small gameplay changes. Entire characters were rewrote, such as the feline street cook. The localization team originally gave the character a German accent, but the cat's presentation was clearly Chinese-inspired. The team initially avoided giving the cat a Chinese accent, as they feared they might go too far and end up offending someone. Localization director Andrew Alfonso told Silicon Era, "The sentiment was that Asian accents and character dialogue aren't used too often, so it hasn't been as widely accepted as your stereotypical British, French, or German accents. Eventually, we went back and rewrote the character with more of a Chinese-speaking style, but we tried to make it as subtle as possible so it doesn't offend anyone." Although Monster Hunter is about hunting, the series is purposely kept lighthearted to be more accessible. A savage-looking game could have deterred casual players. This is partly why monsters aren't portrayed as villains, but simply as a part of the natural world. In fact, the insect glaive was added to highlight the series' theme of man and nature coexisting. Using an insect as a weapon also came from a scrapped idea for the first game, where players would have sent out a bird to attack. Most monsters are based on animals or mythology. Artists even use real animals as reference points, so the monsters they create feel like living creatures. That said, the inspiration for Monster Hunter 3's Barroth came from observing the movement of bulldozers on a construction site. As well as being based on dinosaurs like ceratopsians, Diablos is also inspired by kaiju movies. In Japan, the snake-like Najarala's name is Garara Ajara. The name derives from the Japanese onomatopoeia for rattling, garara, and the word for adder. In Japanese, adder is spoken as adara, and from there the D was warped to a J. When localized, the name was likely changed to be based on the Philippine cobra, Naja philippinensis. The Najarala also appears to be based on the Boitui of Guarani mythology. This creature is said to have an enormous serpent body with a parrot's head and beak. Ryozo Sugimoto has said his favorite monster so far is the Gore Magala. The Gore Magala's design is meant to reflect its mysterious nature, such as its wings being based on a caped villain. Even though its rounded and black design was meant to reflect its mysterious role in the game's story, the monster originally had very sharp features with a red underbelly and wings. Since Gore Magala is Monster Hunter 4's flagship monster, Capcom wanted to showcase it in their promotion of the game. A life-sized Gore Magala was commissioned from effects artist Frank Ippolito for Capcom's E3 2014 booth. The front end of the monster stuck out of a backdrop to give the illusion of depth and had a small area where fans could take pictures with it. The model was also shown at San Diego Comic-Con and was even part of an exhibit at Six Flags Magic Mountain. In fact, they reworked the entire Goliath roller coaster to be Monster Hunter themed. That's all for today, but don't forget to subscribe to Did You Know Gaming and follow Did You Know Gaming on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you also check out didyouknowgaming.com. And if you liked this video, check out some more videos. Or if you've been playing Monster Hunter, you can listen to this Pro Jared guy give a beginner's guide on Monster Hunter. I heard he's something of a fan.